You are watching me, Mick Meanus, on my YouTube channel, Movies TV Mad. You can also follow me on X at Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Instagram, Movies TV Mad X, and on TikTok, Mick Isn't Perfect, because guess what? Mick isn't perfect. But that's the point. Now, you may be offended about what I do on TikTok or not. It's nothing like I do on this platform. Why don't you give it a check out? Anyway, today we are attempting to fix Hollywood. Well, Hollywood is broken. Hollywood is on its knees, and there's defined reasons for this. But how do we fix it? Why is Hollywood broken? There's no question about it. The rise of Donald Trump politically angered the Hollywood community. I understand that, but it drove them insane, and it drove them to actions that have created this situation. Disney have had a terrible year yet again. Disney want you to believe they're a very progressive company. They pretend to support the LGBTQ community. They pretend to support minorities. It's all bullshit, of course, but they pretend to do it. You know, look at the bad way they represent women. It's like they've never met a real woman outside of LA, because you can't call the women in LA real women. I've been in LA, and you know, they're nothing like the women I grew up with. I used to date this girl whose mum ran a laundrette, and I used to hang out in the laundrette with this old girl called Vera. She used to tell me about the Second World War and her adventures with the American GIs and what they got up to. But these are the type of women that I grew up with. I've always been around strong, feisty, independent women. Your Bianca Jackson, your Donna Nobles from Doctor Who and EastEnders, those type of leery, mouthy women. I love those women because they're real. Their reactions and their emotions are real. We grew up watching Corrie and EastEnders and seeing these amazing women. Ina Sharples, you know, Elsie Tanner, Rita, you know, Bette Lynch, you know, all these characters, right, done so well. Real women, independent, some of them workers, some of them housewives, a different diverse background, you know, and ethics of these different strong women. But Hollywood don't do that, because Hollywood base women on the women they're around. LA women who are full of plastic surgery and nonsense and haven't lived a real life in a real world. And there's a difference. And so this is why they can't represent women. So when we look at Brie Larson as Captain Marvel in the first and second movie, there's no relatability. We heard that barely any females and girls went to support that movie. But why? Because there's no relatability there. Even the 1984 Supergirl film starring Helen Slater was more relatable to young women than the Marvels and the first Captain Marvel film was. Now, the first Supergirl film is a film that I love, but it was also a flop. But more girls went to see that film because Helen Slater's character was quite relatable. And we've seen this a lot in older female characters from like older movies and older TV shows. They were more relatable. They were more real. And we're talking about Hollywood. So it's obvious, right, that, I mean, you look at someone like George Lucas, Princess Leia. Now, you know, when you look at Carrie Fisher's performance as Princess Leia, she acts like a real woman. A woman you would meet in the real world, feisty, independent, takes no shit from no man, but it's done in a relatable way. Now, maybe she got less feisty and less independent, if we're being honest, in Empire Strikes Back, and definitely in Return of the Jedi. But in A New Hope, she was definitely a relatable woman. How was a man like George Lucas able to do that? Because George Lucas was a man of the world, and Princess Leia was kind of, the execution of that character was the women he knew in his life, because he didn't just live in LA. And there's the difference. There's another difference today. Apparently women can only write about women. You know, if you get a female superhero now, she has to be written and directed by a woman. The problem is they're LA women who hate men, right? Because the men in the entertainment industry are toxic criminals, right? And God knows who else they are. So they hate those men for good reason. But when you're making a film and you're executing male hatred, the average man watching your film, the average boy watching your film doesn't know about your industry and what you've gone through as women because of these men in your industry, and they think you are getting at them. The problem with Hollywood today, majorly, is PR and marketing. It is not there. They do not understand that they are in a consumer industry. I love the arts. I love working within the arts. But as a 17-year-old boy to around, 2021, I worked in a supermarket, basically a consumer-based industry. I knew I had to watch my P's and Q's, and to be honest, I didn't always watch my P's and Q's, but that was wrong of me. And that's the entertainment industry. Without the consumer, without the fans, the nerds, the geeks, you have nothing. You need their ticket money. You need their Blu-ray and DVD sales. And now they're finding out that all their rhetoric is landing them in hot water. But because they live in a bubble, they don't understand. It's not really their fault because they do not step outside from themselves. They don't leave the bubble of LA, so they don't understand. They don't mix with real people. To tell films that attract real people, you've got to tell relatable, grounded stories. Now, for example, in Matt Reeves' The Batman, we did get a more relatable, grounded Selina Kyle, and she was quite grounded in what she's been through, and she worked for me. So that was a good thing, that's for sure. But mostly in Hollywood today, when you see women being represented, it's the same old thing. They're rude, they're arrogant. And when I criticize, female characters in films and television today, I'm told I'm intimidated by strong women. No, you don't understand. I have strong women around me today. And as I grew up, I have never been intimidated by strong women. But here's the thing. When we keep on boring on about strong women and not representing the other women, what does that say about the industry? What about the not so strong-willed women? What about the women who are satisfied with their lot in life? What about the ordinary everyday women? What about them? If you're only representing strong women, then you're only presenting one side of the argument, because this is what I'm saying, is all part of their ideology. Their ideology has become their number one device in making entertainment, using the word entertainment very loosely. So they're not making interesting stories. And when those actors are put out there, they talk too much and they put people's backs up. So recently, Rachel Zegler is a great example of this. Rachel Zegler really for me, is a nobody. Yes, she can belt out a sonnet, she can belt out a tune, and she's a middling to solid actor, but she isn't exceptional and she isn't unique and she isn't deserving in all the roles she's getting. But because they want to pretend that they support the Latinx community, she's everywhere. And I don't know where they found her from, but they've decided that she's Snow White, for example. One of the worst pieces of casting I have ever seen. I'm assuming it's somewhat a musical and she'll be singing in it as well. And I'm sure in terms of the singing, she will do a very good job. But there's a bunch of, singer actors out there who could have done the same thing. What's happened with her is she talks too much. And the way she spoke about the 1938, 1939 or whenever it was made, original Snow White animated movie has upset people. It's like I said this on my Instagram version of this video, which is a shorter video, where I said that they're rebooting the Ghost movie and the X-Files series. insanity, but they are. So the lead actor of the new Ghost movie said that the Latinx community had a bad stereotype in the original Ghost film because we had Willie Lopez as the criminal. I'm sure that wasn't the film's intention. What's wrong with saying we're doing a reboot and we're going to make it better than the original? Here's the problem. We all love the fucking original. It's a fucking work of art. It made us laugh. It made us cry. It was an amazing film. And you're dogpiling and shitting all over it. Same with the X-Files reboot. There wasn't much representation. There's going to be more representation in this X-Files. You're telling us you're rebooting one of the most lauded, adored, loved television series. And again, you're dogpiling over it because you reckon there wasn't enough representation. Let's see how many strong women there will be in there. Let's see if you do a better job with Scully than Gillian Anderson did and Chris Carter did. I very much doubt it. Are you going to use the same characters? Are you going to have new characters? What are you going to do? Let's see. Good luck with that. But don't get me involved because I have nothing to do with the Ghost reboot and the X-Files reboot. Both a television series and a movie I love. I love the originals. I'll keep on watching the original Ghost movie and the original X-Files series. So Rachel Zegler was cast as Snow White. Now, before we get to Zegler, let's talk about Gal Gadot, cast as the Evil Queen. This is one of the worst castings, and I've said it before, in the history of film. This woman can barely act, right? Now, she's great under Zack Snyder as Wonder Woman. But when she works with another director as Wonder Woman, it falls to pieces because they don't know how to make her look like a better actress than she is. To play the Queen in a Snow White movie, you have got to have a proper actor's nuance. You know, it's a bit like Enchanted. And you've got an evil queen in that, right? And I forgot the actor's name, an iconic actress. How could I always forget names, don't I? But yeah. That's a proper actress. And she's giving it this, she's giving it that. It's a proper performance. And you can tell she's enjoying amping up the evil. But, you know, Gal Gadot isn't capable of that type of performance. I don't know who had the idea to cast Gal Gadot as the Evil Queen. Now, let's get back to the subject at hand and Zegler's kind of dogpiling on the original 1938 Snow White movie. She called Prince Charming a stalker in the original film. You know, what can I say? Say it, don't spray it. Why? Who on earth allowed this girl, this kid, to dogpile on this film? I don't care about your opinions. I just don't need to know your opinions, Rachel. How is this good marketing and PR? You're dogpiling on a film that older people love, that younger people still love. And here's the problem. No one's going to back you in this opinion apart from the totally fucking bereft and insane. How are you going to sell this movie now, right? She is a dead weight. This film, this Snow White reboot or whatever you want to call it, this live action version, you know, isn't going to work because we already know it's going to be a piece of shit. Or is it? We recently saw some new images that made it look maybe somewhat better than we thought it was going to be, because we saw some other images that didn't look so good of the dwarves. Then we saw CGI dwarves. Very interesting. That was a change of heart. That was a change of mind. So obviously they heard the reaction from the original still, which I don't think was an official still, and apparently that was just extras and just so before they put the CGI in, but I'm not sure I believe that. So you've got examples there that I've given you of these people when they do reboots, dogpiling and shitting on the classics that we love. As I say, this is a consumer-based industry. This is not what you should be doing for yourselves, for your business, for your industry. But all the good people left Hollywood a very, very long time ago. There are no titans of industry. There's just a bunch of politically inept ideologues, and all they talk about is their ideology. You see the interviews, you see the press runs, and it's all about their ideology. Strong women, fearless women. But they never talk about the plot or the story or their delight in making the movie or trying to entertain the audience. And when the audience suddenly starts to complain about what's been made, they blame their customer. Imagine how inept, stupid and dumb you must be to blame out loud your bread and butter, biting the hand that feeds you. No supermarket manager or worker would ever do that because they would be fired. But they don't understand that they're also glorified supermarket workers. You, Rachel Zegler, and the rest of you are our bitches. You are working for us. You may not think you're working for us. You may be blinded by the flashes on those cameras and those red carpets and, all the smoke being put up your finely toned backsides. But the fact remains that you are our slaves. You are our bitches, right? You're there to perform like seals for us, and you're not doing it. You are making fan fiction, and it isn't good fan fiction either. It's pretty bad, and politically, you're blatantly rubbing people up the wrong way. There's been messaging in entertainment since Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator. A wonderful speech about compassion and about fighting fear, and hatred and all of that. Did people act badly to that? Did they say, oh, this is woke? Well, woke used to mean good back in the day. Don't forget that when Sir Bob Geldof did a concert and fed the third world, that was called woke. That was good, right? Tell me, how much money has billionaire Taylor Swift, by the way, given to the third world? But the straight white male, who everyone hates today, did more with less money. He wasn't even that big a star. Let's not forget Sir Bob Geldof. But what has she done in her career? Oh, exposed her ex-boyfriends. Well done, Taylor. You're a billionaire and you're conning your fans into seeing the same old shit and buying the same old shit. Like that concert movie that's made so much money. It is laughable. Taylor Swift fans must be the most stupidest people in the world. And she's laughing at you. She doesn't really love her fans. But then why am I talking about Taylor Swift? Well, that's another pet hate of mine. Because one of the things I say a lot on social media is beware of false prophets. There's a lot of false prophets in the entertainment industry today, including Mr. Kevin Feige. When the MCU first started, he was lauded. When the first Avengers was made, that was it. The MCU became the biggest thing in the world. Then they decided, all the studios decided, superheroes, 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 superheroes. What happened yesterday? Jodie Foster, one of my favourite actors of all time, said that the superhero genre, the superhero film, is a phase that's lasted too long. And she said we need more than that. These talented, iconic people hate superhero movies. But why? Because it's taken away the Hollywood with a balance, with a variety. You could have superhero movies, you could have dumb action flicks, but you also had serious artistic integrity with other movies. And what happened in the past few years, it's superheroes, comic book movies, because they thought that's the thing that makes the most money. But the truth is, the only one who made money out the CBM, phase was Marvel Studios and Disney. And then they ran their empire into the ground. What's happened to Marvel in phase 4 and now in phase 5 sums up what's going on in Hollywood today. We all saw She-Hulk, and we all saw again that kind of Velma situation. Was it on my Instagram video or did I do it earlier in this video? I can't remember. Basically, Velma, is a classic character from the original Scooby-Doo cartoon. and I apologize, I've already spoken about this, my memory is toast, but Velma was a young, intelligent character in the original Scooby-Doo cartoons. She inspired young girls and young men. So they do this cartoon, Velma, where she's shitting on the patriarchy and shitting on men. And it's embarrassing and it's cringy. That's the type of thing they're doing today. This is exactly the thing they did with She-Hulk. What did they do? They put the backs of young men up. Also, a lot of intelligent young women know it's a piece of shit and they don't feel inspired by it either. That's not entertainment. That's someone standing on a soapbox telling you what and who they hate in the world. That's not what entertainment in film and television is. It should be about education. It should be about entertainment. When I talk about education, when you do a film, you can't be rewriting history like they do today to suit their tainted, their tainted ideology. And that's what's happened today. We see it all the time. How can we fix Hollywood? We can't bring back the Hollywood that we grew up with, the Hollywood that we loved. But we can bring back an ethos and mentality that focuses on artistic expression and entertainment. Film was created to create a portal for people to escape to. The reason why our children are so anxious and depressed, they don't have the escape we once had. And this is the problem, because most of these films now are grounded in reality. And I remember when EastEnders first started as a kid, a British soap opera, and everyone was lauding its realism and its groundedness. And I said, yeah, but all I have to do to see that is put a chair in the streets of London and I can see the real world. I want to see the fantasy. I want to see the Ewings in Dallas. I wanted to see the Colbys in Dynasty, right? And the Carringtons, because they were people that I wouldn't mix with in the real world. The utterly bonkers and rich doing shit to each other. That's why I always preferred those type of soaps to the grounded, realistic soaps. Although I love all the soaps. I'm a big soap buff. So it's great having grounded realism in entertainment. But what's happened is that's all we're getting. So two things we're only getting. Now we're getting low-core Marvel movies, right? That used to be something everyone loved and looks forward to. And we're getting too many realistic, grounded movies. But the wonder and the escapism that we grew up with in television and film has gone. And this is how you fix Hollywood. You need to bring wonder and escapism and great education to movies and entertainment. Disney used to do it beautifully with the original, not Daffy Duck, that's Looney Tunes, that's WB, but Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, Goofy, all those wonderful animated TV shorts they used to do, the movies they used to do. The problem with Disney is they got too greedy. Disney needs to go back to making cutesy television and cartoons. Now, I was speaking yesterday about how they're making too many Marvel sequels and the messaging needs to stop, but you're the one who wanted that messaging. You're the one who rubbed people up the wrong way politically. There's a way to enact political messaging in entertainment without putting people's backs up. But here's the thing, it's become all about the message. I've been talking recently about the discourse around Doctor Who and the introduction of a trans character that I thought was done really, really well. And I don't understand the hate and upset for her being in it. But the reason there's all that hatred for that character being in it is because the consumer has this kind of paranoia. They're paranoid that everything that's put in to entertainment today is getting at them. And it's not there for the entertainment value. But the thing is, the trans community are part of the mainstream now. And you can't go back to a world where it's just white people on the screen, because back in the day, Hollywood were worried that people wouldn't want to watch black people and Asian people and people of diverse backgrounds, which was utterly problematic, right? We can't go back to that. We absolutely can't go back to that. Because here's the thing. If you're one of these white people who thinks you should only see white people on the screen, you have a problem, because all those other people are human beings like you. And if they're talented enough, they should have the right to be on the screen as well. As much right as the actors that look like you. It's not about seeing you on the screen. Forget that. That's bullshit. Everyone should get equal opportunities. And yes, great, good, talented trans actors should be able to play trans characters on the screen. If they don't want to play trans characters, they can play other characters, right? It is make-believe, right? They are adult pretenders after all. There's no problem with a trans character played by a young trans actor being in Doctor Who. Now, you're telling me the reason you didn't like that, it was because it was badly done. So what part was bad to you? That this was a young girl that was bullied, that was dead named, that we saw her rise a little bit at the end of the episode? Maybe RTD got carried away in that messaging in the end, but his heart was in the right place. So you being upset by that, isn't part of the problem, because the ratings were good at the very least. Were they record-breaking or fantastic or anything like that? No, they weren't. We'll have to see, I think, on Monday what the iPlayer, catch-ups were for it, and we'll see what would have happened if there was no iPlayer, how much more live viewers there would have been. But the first Doctor Who episode, from my point of view, was wonderful and beautiful. And it was that thing that I was talking about earlier, escapism, that portal of wonder and escapism. That's what that Doctor Who episode did, with some pretty smart messaging as well. Russell T Davies isn't the problem, and neither is Doctor Who. But here's the thing, the way they talk about entertainment publicly is part of the problem. Their marketing and PR have created this paranoia from the consumer. But at the end of the day, the audience have become too clever for their own good, and more smarter than the people that work in the industry. And social media has elevated that. So you can't fool the public anymore. So you need people as passionate and ingrained in this industry and the arts, because the people on social media talking about entertainment, they've been watching entertainment all their lives. And watching entertainment, you can see what, you're not there, you're not making the shit, right? But you kind of get how this stuff's put together, which means that the consumer now are more educated in what it takes to make a film or a television show, or, perform in a play, much more than we were when we were younger. And so there's no fooling the public. So, the public are very critical. They nitpick, right? They know what they're talking about. They know what they want and they don't want. But there shouldn't be a time where the public should just get what they ask for. Because I said this on so many videos. I didn't ask for Running Man. I didn't ask for Fatal Attraction. I didn't ask for Ghost. But I fucking love them. It's not about getting what you ask for. It's about the people in the industry being as passionate and wondrous and fantastical in their imagination as we are. And that's one of the biggest issues why Hollywood is broken. There's not enough people with an imagination in Hollywood anymore. As I say, your Christopher Nolans and your Matt Reeves are obsessed with gritty, relatable, real-world made movies. That's a fact. Now, I love those guys. I love those directors, and there's a place for them in the industry. But that's the huge problem today. There's too many directors like Snyder and Nolan and Reeves who want to ground everything in reality. But where's the wonder? Where's the escapism for these young people today who are on social media and bombarded with the terribleness of what's going in this real world? All the discourse, and it's all going in their little brains, and it's killing them. Now, that's fine if there was a portal to get away from that and escape, but there's not. It's okay for me. I've got dozens of DVDs of stuff I grew up with and things in the 90s that I can watch. I can watch 90210, I can watch Dallas, I can watch anything I want and escape. But these kids won't appreciate that shit, and they don't have anything to escape to anymore. As a child, I had mental health problems. I had learning difficulties. I had nowhere to turn. My parents were ashamed of me, telling me, why can't I be, like my younger brother, basically normal. I was utterly depressed. Then I found television. I found Superman the movie, Knight Rider, the A-Team. These were my portals of escape. And quite simply, kids today don't have that. Everybody needs a break. Everybody needs an escape. It's good for us. Great acting, great writing, great imagination is so important to the world at large. Great acting, great storytelling can change the world. And bringing that back to Hollywood and entertainment as a whole is very important for our future. Not just in the entertainment industry, but for the world at large.